Okay, let's start to draw the mountains for our owl illustration. We're going to start with our highlight on the sky layer. Instead of layer 1, we're going to go to the sky layer and you're going to touch plus. And that will add a layer above the sky. And that will allow us to place the mountains in between the owl in the tree and the sky. So let's close the eye for the owl for now because we don't really need that. We want to work on the mountains. And to do that, we're going to go to the polygon. So if you go to the area where your shapes are, go down to the polygon tool and click on your trackpad to make this appear. Change the sides from 6 to 3, then click OK. The last color that I used was yellow, so that's why it's currently yellow, because I used that for the moon. But I'm going to change that to a light tan color. And I'm also going to place it onto the paper. So let me go to the black arrow, pull this over. We're going to stretch this out. And we're going to need several triangles for these mountains. We're trying to create a landscape like this one, and the mountains that are farthest away are lighter. That's called atmospheric perspective. Things that are far away appear hazy and lighter in color. So that is what we're going to do. So this one will be lighter tan. So let's double click here, go to the orange area, and let's pick a lighter tan color and keep this, we'll keep it about this size for now. Eventually we're going to push it over a little bit, but for now I'll start with this. So I'll have this triangle. I'm going to copy it, Command C, Command V. I want the triangle in front to be a little bit shorter and over to the right a little bit, and I'm going to make this one slightly darker. So I'll double click and move down the row a little bit. So this one's slightly darker, and I'll Command C, Command V, place another mountain here, make this one a little smaller, and I'll make this one even darker still. Double click on the square and move across. Okay, so we have 3 different tones, and what I'll do now is push this over a little bit. They don't have to be equally spaced, but I don't want to have empty areas either. Let's turn on the owl layer. Let's see how close we are to the owl. Okay, this is okay. I want to just kind of move these around so it doesn't cross over the owl too much. All right, that looks good. I'll close the owl layer again. Now let's add some snow. We can add smaller triangles and then other shapes to make it look like snow. Here's the example. So we have a shape that matches the tip of the triangle, but also has some other shapes underneath, and I created that with the shape builder. So let's go back to this illustration. These mountains, I can see I made a little bit more tan, but that's fine. Let's go to our polygon. We're going to put a triangle on the page, and we'll make this white for the snow. And it doesn't have to be pure white either. You can make it like a light gray. That is fine. I'll make it like this gray. Okay. Let's move these over. So I have a triangle that matches, let's move this over, exactly. And I have a smaller triangle that I can start to kind of disguise in this shape. So I basically want to create an edge that's not perfectly straight across, because snow doesn't fall that way, right? So we need to add some shapes to it. I can take this triangle and tilt it. I'm going to delete that one. I could also take a rectangle with the same color and press E as in Eagles. And let's go to the free distort, which is the bottom option. And let's take these pieces and just kind of manipulate them manually. So I'm going to use this shape here. Command C, Command V. And I'm going to manipulate it differently on this side. Command V, I'll add another piece of snow. And down here I'll tilt it, make it skinnier. So this is almost like a puzzle. However you decide to lay the snow down, as long as it's not perfectly straight, should be fine. So we're just going to continue to build these snow shapes. I'm going to put this on a time lapse, and you can design your shapes the way you like. You can hold your Shift key while you click on all of your snow pieces and copy them to the next mountain. So Command C, Command V. I'm going to copy these here, and then I'll just change them a little bit so that they're not exactly the same. So let's zoom in and just flip some of these around. The horizontal flip is over here on Properties. You can also rotate these shapes. If you're on the black arrow and you hover near the corners, you should be able to rotate them. I'm going to add some small snow pieces down below. Okay, here's our last mountain, and again I'll hold my Shift key while I click on each of the patches of snow. Command C, Command V, and there's that. And then I'll just move some of these around again so they don't look perfectly identical. We want some variation. Okay, that looks pretty decent. Let's turn the eyeball on for the tree. Okay, so now that I have my tree overlapping the snow, I think that looks good. Let's move on to the next phase. Before I move on though, let's chop off the part of the mountain that's outside of the paper or outside of the framework here. So I'm going to I just raised the blue bar so that it fits the paper a little bit better. Now let's select everything. Let's start in this corner, click and drag all the way across. Go to my shape builder and let's hold the Option key and remove anything that's outside of that frame. So that should be good. All right, now I have an empty space here, so let's copy the mountain and repeat some of these shapes. Let's lock layer 1, lock the sky. I'm even going to close the eye for this one. Go to the black arrow and let's just click and drag these mountains over the mountains. Command C, Command V, and you can have the mountains go here, or I could flip them. That probably would work better. So I'll flip them, even though they look almost symmetrical. Let's see what it looks like. Yeah, that looks better than having an empty space. Okay, great. Unlocking layer 1. And I'm going to select, oh, actually unlocking this as well. Select everything, and I'm going to use my shape builder again. So shape builder, and now just hold Option and remove anything that's outside of the bounding box. Just drawing lines through these shapes. Okay, good. So I have mountains. The next thing will be to add a layer for trees. The trees are really simple. They are simply triangles. And you can basically make one tree and copy and paste it all the way across. So let's add a new layer and do that. Let's go back to this one. We're on layer 3. Let's go to plus for a new layer, layer 4, and let's make a tree. We're going to go to our polygon. Let's build the tree out here. So let's make a triangle and let's make it large enough for one of the shapes and change the color to green. Any green is fine for right now because we will be changing the green. So let's go with making it a little bit wider. Command C, Command V. Place this one above. Command V again. Place this one above that. Go to the black arrow. You can decide if you want the base of the tree wider, the middle one slightly in between, and then the top one the smallest. However you design your tree is up to you. All right, so I think this is good for me. What I'll do now is combine these into one shape. So on my black arrow, I click and drag over everything, and I go to Object, Group. Now it will move as one shape. And I can copy and paste it. And I can make multiples, and I can make them smaller, and I can change the color and the width. So let's put these on the base of the tree line. In fact, let's make them a little shorter. And let's copy these. So Command C, Command V. Put a couple that are this size. And then I'll make some that are darker and taller. So let's change the green, double click on the green. Let's make this one this color. I'll make these taller. Oops. I want to copy this one now. Command C, Command V. Command V again. Okay, and let's make a few more that are even darker still. You don't really want to see the bottom of the mountain. through the trees. So I'm going to start pushing these closer together. I can make some of these shorter so that they're not all the same height or width. Some can be wider. Make some taller. Okay, so there's the tree line. Next will be the water. And those are just 3 rectangles. So let's go to plus. Layer 5 will be our water. And again, I can close the eye for the tree and the owl. We don't really need that visible right now. Let's go to our rectangle tool. And we're going to click and drag. And we want this to line up with the bottom of the trees. This will be our first color. The first color of blue will be a light blue. So let's go to our color selection, go to the blue section, and let's just pick any light blue. I didn't quite put a tree here because I know the tree trunk is covering it, but if you'd like to, you can. So here's my first layer of blue, Command C, Command V. Placing this one over top, and I'm going to make this one slightly darker. Command C, Command V. This one goes all the way to the bottom and darker still. All right, that looks good. Let's remove some of these shapes that are outside of the box. So I'm going to the black arrow, clicking and dragging over everything, and going to my shape builder and just looking for these areas where it's outside of the box. So I'm just going to click on these just to kind of clean them up. Be careful not to draw inside of the box because then that will remove part of your drawing. Okay, now I am ready for my final step, which will be the trees in the front. Okay, this looks good. Let's go to one more layer plus one more layer. This will be at the very bottom where I add the trees at the base. And so what I can do is go to one of my previous layers where I have the trees. I'll go to layer 4, select one of the trees and just copy it. So Command C, I'll go back up to layer 6 and Command V. And these are just going to be bigger because they're closer to you. This is another type of perspective where things that are closer to you are larger. And I'm going to change this green because it blends in way too much with the water. So I'm going to make these a brighter green. Command C, Command V. I'm just going to put a few trees here. Maybe just 3. If you want to select a color that you used previously, you can use this dropper tool and tap on the color that you used before that you liked. And that will repeat that color. All right, I would say that this is now done. All of the spaces are filled. There's no empty area. This tree, I'm going to change the color for. Just want to have a different type of green. All right, my last step is to remove any shapes at the bottom. So going to my black arrow, clicking and dragging over everything. And now I'm going to Shape Builder, holding my Option key, drawing my lines, or clicking on anything that's outside of those areas. Oops. Okay, this is done. You are welcome to make some variations. You don't have to make this exactly like mine. You can change the water. You can put fish in the water. You can have a boat in the water. You can have people swimming. You can remove these trees. You can build houses or a log cabin or put a cityscape underneath. It doesn't have to be in the forest. You can put anything under your owl. I just wanted to give you an example of how to do this. Leave some space at the bottom. The very last thing we'll do before you hand this in is go over how to add your name, save this as a PDF, and submit it to the assignment.